So this is in Arizona. So in Arizona, in Phoenix, where there's 3.5, almost 4 million people, there are many trauma centers there, and they're also in competition. And the reason is because in Phoenix, there are many hospitals, and in the United States, everybody wants to become a trauma center. And the reason for that is because of what we call a halo effect. That when you can say that your hospital is a level 1 trauma center or a level 2 trauma center, people think it's a better hospital. And so they get more patients and they get more business that way. Right? But we control all of southern Arizona, and down here, although there are many, many hospitals, there's only one trauma center. And so some people, they look at this and say, well, you need another trauma center. No, we don't need another trauma center. This is perfect size. What I need to continue working on is regionalizing so it works in a system. So in our hospital, we have 7 bays like this, which are dedicated just to trauma. And all the sick people will come on this side. So when you come into the main entrance of the hospital, from the outside where it says ambulance, you'll come in. If it's trauma, you'll go this way. And if you're in the emergency department, you'll go in this way to this big, large area. And if you're a trauma patient, we have 3 levels of activation. It's called red, white, and green. And we have 5,000 of these patients every year, and about half are level green. And those are people that are in a bad car accident. So if you get into a car accident, and you see 2 cars piled up there, but the people are out of their cars and they're yelling at each other and saying, you ran into me, I ran into you, those people don't have to come to a trauma center because they're okay. All right? But if you go there and there's somebody slumped over a wheel, they're unconscious, then they need to go to a trauma center. If you go there and the patient is starting to fight you because they're dying from blood loss or they can't breathe, they need to come to the trauma center. And that is all on a piece of paper that the ambulance driver sees. And they already know this now, okay? Who needs to come to a trauma center and who can be taken to the local hospital. And if the trauma center is busy, they know who else to go to right away. Everything is already predetermined. And if you're hypotensive, your blood pressure is low because you're bleeding to death, when you come in, to my trauma center, you will have this many people all around you. Okay? All these people are waiting for you. And you'll have a team leader, which is a chief resident or a surgeon, and he'll have a physician here and a physician here. One person is doing all of these things, but they will do the examination, and they'll call out the examination. This person will do procedures. We have another physician. This could be an anesthesiologist or an emergency department doctor, but they will intubate the patient. And then we have people that do some of the paperwork and the nurses that are there as well. Now we also have, for the level reds, a respiratory therapist that comes, and we also have the operating room people that come. The operating room people will come and stand outside of the room, and they will stare and they will look at this doctor. And if the patient doesn't need to come to the operating room, he will just say, thank you, and they'll go back to work, okay? But if they need to go to the operating room, he looks at it and goes, I'm coming, and he runs to the operating room and gets a room ready. So in our emergency department, there's a lot of people. It can get crowded in the trauma bays. And in there, we have everything that we need to do. Now, this is not cheap. It costs money. It costs, for our trauma center and area and the bays, it costs about $67 million. The hospital every year has an annual budget of about $500 million. But the trauma portion is about $47 million. But even though that it costs a lot of money, the trauma patients, we have a lot of trauma patients and we're effective in what we do, so the hospital actually makes money on this business. So, as we are busy on the roads nowadays, or even if you're just walking by down the street, get one car that rolls over, in this case we had 18 people in that one car. Safe activities that you think are okay. Having fun with your whole family. So we get many of these, we get one a day. We get 300 of these every single day. This little girl had her pancreas taken out because the ATV rolled on top of her body.
Pindola de 23 anni della provincia
Or just even everyday common things at home. So, you know, trauma again is not just for the violence, but it's the things that occur every day. Now, in the United States, we do have a problem with guns. That's a reality. And what we call penetrating trauma, which are stabbings and gunshot wounds, about 15% of our trauma is from that. That's a little baby, 9-month-old. This one was shot 9 times, and this is a 95-year-old that was shot. So we get these quite often. But if you're stabbed or shot, this is what it looks like for us. This is 6 o'clock in the morning. We have people waiting outside. And when a patient comes, they go directly into the right side, which is my trauma base. And we have all these people waiting, and things get done very quickly and handled very fast. Whether even if you're children that get stabbed. As you know, this was the congresswoman in the United States that got shot. And that day we had 13 other patients that came in with gunshot wounds as well. So the trauma program is not just about the trauma surgeon. It requires a lot of people in the room, but you have to have the background of people, including the trauma director, the nurse practitioner. You have to have the operating room ready. The ICU is a major component of this process, all the way down to occupational therapy and physical therapy, and then all these subspecialties as well. The program itself, this is the people who do the trauma registry and the data collection for us. Overall, the number of people that are involved are large, but I would say that in most of the major hospitals in Korea, this already exists anyways. The only thing you don't have is the registry, and you don't have the trauma service. But one of the main aspects that we also do from the trauma program is injury prevention, and we try to reduce the workload as much as we can. Our mortality rate is down because we do this type of activity. Our ICU length of stay is shortened, and the amount of length of stay in our hospitals is already down to 4.5 days. Now, the trauma surgeon works out of the Department of Surgery. It is called the Acute Care Program. We have cardiothoracic surgeons, transplant surgeons, vascular surgeons, colorectal surgeons, and so on like this. Those are all divisions. But under the Acute Care Program, these are 9 surgeons, and we do trauma, critical care, and emergency surgery. And starting this year, we're going to also do burns. These are the 9 surgeons. They're all boarded in surgical critical care, and they're all brand new. But the main reason that I also work in Tucson is because of these people who are my residents. Okay, these young guys that come through our program, what we really focus on is teaching so they can go out and open their own trauma center somewhere else. And the research that we do is very important to us. We take that very seriously. We have a goal of doing 30 publications a year. Our nurses, this is one of our nurses from the ICU. She's going to a national meeting and presenting there as well, so we get involvement of other people besides just physicians. This is our junior surgeon at our national meeting presenting as well. So this is one of our major focuses.
Man, I've been waiting all night now. That's how long I've been on ya. Come and can't get much stronger.
So those are our residents, and that's a real big part of our program. And that's basically, in a very short time period, how things work in our country. With that, I think my time is up at 30 minutes, so thank you very much for your attention.